you just don't like the color of the skin or what that person looked like who's at the counter buying a gun. Frankly, that's what I think happened here. Agent's name was Brian Higgins.
Brian Higgins? Well, I feel you're trying to make it sound like something it wasn't.
I'm not trying to make it sound like anything, sir. I'm asking a question. Had you discussed this case or the issues surrounding this case with those folks?
I did discuss things when I went back to the house, yes. I was more concerned to go eat and have a drink because it had been a long day. It was a long day. We had been on the road. I just was looking to get home.
It had been a long day, yes.
It was a long day. Well, it was a long day. We both had the same long day. So I knew that I had a long day.
It had been a long day.
We had an investigation going on of a guy who was in the police academy to become a cop.
This young brother runs a gun store in Massachusetts, and he had a dangerous encounter with Higgy Bear. Let's listen.
Who purchased a Glock pistol from our store by showing a police ID and signing our law enforcement affidavit that he had powers of arrest. Turns out he was just a dispatcher. This guy who's going through the police academy, the police chief looks at him and says, "Hey, that looks like a new Glock. Where'd you get that?" "Oh, I got it at Cape Gunworks." "What? You can't do that."
Apparently, the law in Massachusetts allows police officers to purchase certain types of guns. Someone came in with an ID and wasn't a real police officer and purchased a gun from this brother's store.
Can't buy that. You're not a sworn officer yet. So this police chief launches an investigation. So the ATF comes down to us to get the form, the 4473. He shows us his credentials. The agent's name was Brian Higgins.
Brian Higgins?
And so he's in our shop to get this form, and he's watching us conduct business. And he sees a girl at the counter buying a gun. She's doing her paperwork. And her boyfriend walks in and, whispers in her ear, and she points over there, and then he walks away. This guy's observing this whole thing. She finally gets her gun and she leaves. And he says, "I need to see that 4473. Like, I don't just feel comfortable turning over my customers' information to law enforcement agencies just because they ask for it.
I wonder why Higgy Bear was so suspicious of that particular person buying a gun.
And I go in the other room and I ask, "Do we have to give forms to the ATF upon demand?" And he goes, "I don't think so, but let me call our lawyer." He calls him, and meanwhile, while we're off to the side talking, this ATF agent goes into my manager's office and says, "I need to see that form." So my manager doesn't know any better, and he hands it over, and he's taking pictures of it and, writing down information off this form. And then he walks back out. I come out, and the lawyer says, "Tell him to go bleep himself." "Yeah, we're not going to give you that information. I'm sorry. Come back with a warrant or a subpoena or something like that, and we'll be glad to oblige." And he goes, "What?" He hits the moon. "No one has ever denied me that form. That's ATF property. Those forms are ATF property." And we're like, "No, they're actually not. We have to retain them as records."
Because we observed Higgy Bear in his natural habitat, we've come to learn that he's very thin-skinned and he reacts with anger generally when it's not warranted.
Forever. He's like, "Nope, that's my property. I can inspect them whenever I want. I want to see that now. And by the way, I already looked at it in your manager's office, so I already got what I need, but you don't tell me no." He was really upset. Told us that he already got it. I'm like, "Well, I didn't give you permission or authorize you to do that. Frankly, I think you're overstepping your bounds here, and I believe you're on a fishing expedition."
Even though he already had the information from the form, he still wanted to assert his authority over this gun shop owner.
And you just don't like the color of the skin or what that person looked like who's at the counter buying a gun. Frankly, that's what I think happened here.
This young brother claims it was the skin color of the gun purchaser to cause Higgy Bear to initiate the investigation.
And he goes, "You don't know why I'm asking for it." And I said, "Well, I'm just calling it like I see it." And we internally knew this wasn't a straw purchase. If he was making the argument that she was buying the gun for the boyfriend or something like that, that's what he was implying. And I said, "Nope, that's not the situation. This girl has been in multiple times, has gone out on the range with an instructor to select a handgun that fits her hand, that one she likes, that, meets the requirements that she has. She's, test fired it. She's narrowed it down and then ultimately made a selection. And today is the day she's picking it up. This is not a straw purchase." Oh, he's like, "Well, I'm not going to talk to you about what an ongoing investigation." So he gets back to his office, and his director just got reamed out by my lawyer who used to work for that office. He basically tells him, "You got to make this right. You got to cover your butt because you're exposed now. You're out there in the wind without any legal protection because you're demanding this." He goes and assembles a grand jury to investigate this girl for a straw purchase. And he shows up with like 8 police cars. And he walks in and he disarms everyone in the store. Like, you can't be in the store with me with a gun. I want your gun. My employees are kind of like, what do I do? And so he's like, you got to, unload your gun and I'll hold on to it while you're in the store. And by the way, I want everyone out anyway.
Where have we seen Higgy Bear covering his tracks after he did something really bad?
You can't be in the building with me at the same time while I'm conducting my investigation. And he has a subpoena for the hard drive of our video camera surveillance system, so he can sit there and watch the world go by in 30-second clip.
No news so far.
Around that day. But he doesn't just ask for the clips for that day. He takes the whole server out of the building. He shut down the entire operation of the building with like 8 cruisers parked out front. So it looks like we're selling machine guns to kids out the back door. All that to really just throw his weight around and peacock out and say, I'm the guy, you don't ever tell me no, don't you ever forget it. So he did that to cover his butt because...
We have also observed Higgy Bear peacocking when a female came into his habitat at the waterfall.
And then once they found out, oh yeah, it wasn't a straw purchase, they just closed the investigation and went on as business as usual. It was crazy.
And it turns out, Mr. Higgins, that was a lie, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't a lie. I have no recollection of any phone calls.
Here, Higgy Bear is being questioned about the phone calls between him and Brian Albert at 2:22 in the morning, the day John O'Keefe was found dead.
Brian Albert called you at 2:22 and 35 seconds.
I see the 1-second call, yes.
There's a second call just below that from you to Brian Albert, and the duration of that call is 22 seconds. So 17 seconds after you missed a call, according to these records, from Brian Albert, you called him back, and there was a call lasting 22 seconds. Is that right?
That's what the records say.
So the fact is, you were speaking to Brian Albert in the middle of the night, approximately 3 hours before Mr. O'Keefe's body was found in his yard, correct?
No, that's not correct.
You had an explanation.
Butt dial.
So you think it's possible that you may have butt dialed Brian Albert for a 22-second call that you're not aware of?
I think it's possible that he could have been inadvertently called back, but I have no recollection of that, nor did I have any conversation with anybody. I did not have a conversation with anybody. I did not have a 22-second call with Brian Albert. There was no conversation. There was no discussion. I never talked to Brian Albert. And I don't remember the phone calls. I don't deny making the phone calls, I just don't remember them.
Just like after he got in trouble at the gun store, he had to cover his tracks. Here, him and Brian came up with a plan to say that they don't remember the calls and their butts dialed the phone.
I remember being asked, quote, did you call him back? And you answered, yes. And then there was a question.
There was a series of questions there. That's only a fragment of what I said.
I'm not done yet, Mr. Higgins. Can you answer my question?
Yes.
To the question, did you call him back? Your answer was yes, correct?
The coolest thing about observing Higgy Bear in his natural habitat is he respects the federal government. Here he's being questioned about what he told the FBI, and when he was speaking with them, suddenly he remembered everything.
I think it was kind of I must have.
You see the pink highlighted question?
Yes.
What's the question?
Because there are transcripts from the FBI-related hearing, Allen does a great job impeaching Higgy Bear with his former testimony.
You call him back.
What's the answer?
Yes. I did not have a conversation with anybody.
It's possible it could have happened that you had a 22-second call with Brian Albert, correct?
I did not have a 22-second call with Brian Albert.
Notice how he answered the FBI. Did you call him back? Yes. Here, he doesn't remember.
There was no conversation, but I have no recollection of that, nor did I have any conversation with anybody. I did not have a conversation with anybody. I did not have a 22-second call with Brian Albert. There was no conversation. There was no discussion. I never talked to Brian Albert. And I don't remember the phone calls.
So for over a year, you haven't even considered the fact that you were caught with a phone record lying about not having a conversation with Brian Albert at 2:22 in the morning. Mr. Higgins, what was so important that you and Brian Albert needed to discuss something at 2:22 in the morning?
There was no discussion. I never talked to Brian Albert.
So I think the question was, do you remember? Do you remember that?
Your Honor, there was a lot of phone calls made that day. It was an upsetting day. I don't have a recollection. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot going on that day. People were upset. And I don't remember the phone calls.
Do you remember seeing Chief Berkowitz at Sallyport at 4:14?
No. And if that says that I'm logged, that could be me cutting through.
I'm not asking you what you did. I'm asking you where you were.
The other major fact that we've uncovered is that taillight was not distributed by Proctor or Bukaki. It was done by Chief Berkowitz and old Higgy Bear.
I don't know where I was at that specific time.
Well, you walked into the Sallyport. We know that.
If I walked in, I
Correct?
was cutting through, yes.
Were you in the Sallyport at 5:36 when the car was delivered?
I don't have any recollection.
He doesn't have any recollection of that.
Recollection of that, no.
One thing to say I don't remember, it's another thing to say no, I was not there.
I don't remember being there, no.
Higgy Bear is so cute when he's lying, and since we've observed him so much in his natural habitat, we can easily tell.
Is it possible that you could have been there when that car was delivered?
I don't believe I was, no.
You don't believe you were?
I don't believe I was, no.
You understood my question, didn't you?
Yes.
Is there a reason you don't want to answer that question?
I don't have a problem.
Objection, Your Honor.
No, is there a reason?
Why don't you go ahead and explain?
Well, I feel he's trying to make it sound like something it wasn't. It was.
I'm not trying to make it sound like anything, sir. I'm asking a question. Had you discussed this case or the issues surrounding this case with those folks?
I did discuss things when I went back to the house, yes.
And that was before you met with Trooper Proctor and Trooper Buchanan, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
When you answer a question before it's done, it's a huge indicator of deception.
Access for what purpose?
Just to walk by them, to hear what they were saying, see what they were doing.
Yeah, it's not what I was doing, no.
I'm not accusing you of doing anything. I'm saying you had access to the individuals within the Canton PD, correct?
To interact if needed, yes.
And your answer was, it's 100% probable that I told him about that, meaning I told Brian Albert about my conversation with Ken Berkowitz, correct?
It's possible.
Was that your statement or not?
It was my statement then, but I've thought about it, yes.
And you've changed your statement somehow?
The statement of mine was a false memory.
I don't know if I changed my statement, but I think the way the phone calls came in is I believe Ken Berkowitz told me he found the taillight, and I'm referring to the taillight from the both of them. I didn't provide any information to anybody.
And then in that testimony, you went on to say, I'm not hiding that fact, but you're asking me if I recollect specifically. And you went on to say, if that's when Chief Berkowitz told me, listen, I didn't do anything wrong in this, end quote. That was your statement.
Notice how defensive our thin-skinned Higgy Bear got when he was being questioned by the FBI with regard to whether he was colluding with Berkowitz.
All that entire testimony, right?
Not that portion, but I know I was asked about how the phone calls came in and what was said.
Do you think it would refresh your recollection to see a transcript of your answer?
Is this it right here?
That's it. And
I'm going to read it.
If that's what Chief Berkowitz told me, listen, I didn't do anything wrong in this, correct?
That was the statement I made, yes.
When your body is under stress because you're lying, it sends extra energy to your limbs. Your feet and your hands will get extra power because you're getting ready to fight or flight or freeze. When you cannot do any of those, your body will mask that energy in grooming techniques. And here we see old Higgy Bear scratching his nose because his hands got a lot of energy in them because he's being super deceptive.
Why did you say, listen, I didn't do anything wrong in this?
Why'd you say that?
I felt they were being accusatory, and I was trying to explain what was going on. And what I had said over that was, I believe what I said, something to the effect, I can't be 100% positive. And then when I went on to say,
it is so cute that the only thing thin on Higgy Bear is his skin.
it's probable. But I felt like they were being accusatory, and I was trying to explain how the phone calls came in. I've had time to reflect about it after that, since that testimony, and that information about the taillight that was found was provided by each person. I didn't provide any information to anybody.
You said, look, I didn't do anything wrong in this because it looks like you and Ken Berkowitz were colluding. You recalled seeing Higgins at the station later that day on Saturday. Dever thought it was also weird that Higgins and Chief Kenny Berkowitz were by themselves in the Sally Port of the police department, by themselves while Karen Reed's car was parked inside. Higgins was a witness and present at the gathering where O'Keefe was found dead outside, and then he was in the presence of important evidence. You were sitting at dispatch by yourself and saw on the camera outside of the Sally Port when they walked in.
That little angel statement to the FBI is so telling, and it gives us all the information we need to solve this simple case. Higgy Bear and Berkowitz were at the Sally Port garage when that SUV arrived, and when suddenly the cameras went out, they were able then to obtain some taillight and have it spread throughout the lawn at 34 Fairview.
To Brian Albert, correct?
Objection.
Is that correct?
Absolutely not correct. That's wrong.
You knew that was going to look like collusion, which is why you said, look, I didn't do anything wrong in this. Quote, you never saw them leave, them being Brian Higgins and Chief Ken Berkowitz, but you recalled thinking to yourself that they were in the Sally Port for a wildly long time together in there, end quote.
That was my recollection of the time.
Okay.
So yes.
Little Angel's description to the FBI is way too detailed for that to be a false memory. I don't care what she says now. She helps this case because she was the only eyewitness of these two dopes in the Sally Port garage when the SUV arrived.
I had every right to do that.
I didn't ask you about your rights. I asked you what you did.
To be honest with you, I mean, I kissed gay Jeff I was a little embarrassed. Wasn't really proud of him.
Now that we have the benefit of all the testimony, this case is very easy to solve. There was only a limited amount of people within a limited amount of time that could actually kill John O'Keefe. However, we are not going to stop with these videos until they find the real killer and bring him to justice.